Page 347, the other half of the assignment that you got last day we were here, just to go over it. Again, same idea. You just do your work, put it with the other page. Send me a picture of your work. Send me a text with the picture attached, or send it in the email. However you're going to send it to me, it doesn't make any difference to me, but send it to me so that I can get the grades in. Number 3, they want to know measure of angle 1, and they want you to use less than, greater than, or equal to. Measure of angle 1 is whatever. Measure of angle 2, we're using two different triangles here, comparing them. First thing you got to do on this one is you got to realize that, hey, you got this side congruent to this side in the two separate triangles, but that's not enough. You need two pairs of sides. Well, the two pairs of sides this time, you got that one and that one, but then this side is also in both triangles, so anything equals itself, the reflexive property, you know that side's congruent to itself in both triangles. So there's our two sides in that triangle, there's our two sides in that triangle, and then we just use them. We're comparing angle 1 to angle 2. Angle 2 is across from the 39 length side, and angle 1's across from the 42 side. Well, angle 1 then is across from the bigger side, so that means angle 1 has to be bigger, and then that means the symbol that goes in here is angle 1 has to be greater than angle 2. So it's going to be that alligator mouth. Number 4, same idea. We got two sides in this triangle congruent to two sides in this triangle. We just look at it. Angle 1's across from the side that's 13. Angle 2's across from the side that's 14. They want to know angle 1, measure of angle 1. How does it compare to the measure of angle 2? Well, angle 2's across from the longer side, so that means angle 2 has to be bigger, angle 1 has to be smaller, so it's the less than symbol is the symbol you want on that one. Number 5, looking at this one, we got this side's congruent to that, this side's congruent to that side, so we got two sides. Well, we look at this right here, and angle 1 is across from that side, well, angle 2 is across from that same side. So what happens here is, we know by using the reflexive property that this segment's congruent to itself. Well, then you should remember back to what you know about these two triangles, and by side, 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 the two triangles are congruent. So if those two triangles are congruent, then that means angle 1 and angle 2 have to be congruent, so the symbol that goes in there this time is equals. Next one, we look at number 6. We got this side congruent to that side, this side congruent to that side. The included angle, angle 2 is right there, angle 1 is the included angle, it's right there. Angle 1's across from 25, angle 2's across from 23. And angle 1's across from the bigger segment, so that means angle 1 has to be the bigger angle, so it's the greater than symbol that goes in there. Number 7, on problem 7, they tell us that this side's congruent to this side. Well, that's only one pair of sides, but we notice that they share that side there, so we got two sides in each triangle that are congruent to each other. Then we can compare. This time they're telling us angles instead of segments, and we're trying to figure out which segment is bigger or smaller. Since this is a 36-degree angle, and this is a 32-degree angle, the 36 is bigger, so that means it's segment AD here has to be the longer segment, so this one has to be longer than segment CD, which is this one, which would be the shorter one, because it's across from the smaller angle. So AD has to be longer, well then AD has to be the greater than. So the greater than symbol goes in there. Number 8, Same idea, we got two sides in each triangle. The 123 is the longer angle, so that means the side across from it has to be the longer side, or the larger angle. So that has to be the longer side, so KL has to be the bigger one. That means that MN is smaller than KL because it's across from the smaller angle. So that means this time we're going to use the less than symbol. Number 9. I'm just going to do this one sort of quick. I'm not going to draw the pictures on these last two. Number 9, we got the two pairs of sides. In the top triangle in number 9, there's a 22-degree angle, and it's across from segment TR. And we're trying to decide TR and UR, which one's longer. Well, 22 degrees is smaller than 24 degrees, which is in the other one. That's across from segment UR. So UR has to be the bigger one. So TR is smaller, so we use the less than symbol. Number 10, same idea, you look at them, you got a 35-degree angle, 34-degree angle, so the one across from the 35-degree angle has to be bigger, and that's segment AC, so AC has to be bigger. In this case, that means we're going to use the greater than symbol. Number 16, we're trying to figure out what we know about this angle right here. And they give us some choices, and we'll look at those here in a minute. First thing we know is this side's congruent to this side, so that's one pair of sides in the two separate triangles. But then we also know that this middle side's congruent to itself, reflexive property, anything equals itself. So now we got two sides in that top triangle, two sides in the bottom triangle. So we can compare these angles because they're in between those two sides. They're the included angles. We know that this 25-degree angle is across from a side that's 8. This angle, even though we don't know it, we know it's across from a side that's 6. Well, the 8 here is bigger than the 6. 8's bigger than the 6, so that means that the angle that's across from the 6, or I'm sorry, the angle that's across from the 8 has to be bigger than the angle that's across from the 6. So we know that this angle right here has to be less than what they told us up here, which was 25 degrees. So it's got to be less than 25 degrees. Now, if we look at our answers, A is 15. They're asking what are the possible answers. A is 15 degrees. Well, that's less than 25, so A would work. B is 22 degrees. That's less than 25, so that would work. C is 25 degrees. That's not less than 25, so C won't work. D is 35 degrees. That's not less than 25, so that won't work. So your two answers are A and B. 22, I know it wasn't one of the problems on the homework, but just looking at it, wanted to do it anyway. They're asking us to compare angle ACB, the measure of angle ACB, to the measure of angle ACD. ACB is this angle right here. ACD is this angle here. So we're looking at those two angles and trying to compare them. Just looking at this, we have a 26 over here, so that side's congruent to this side and the other triangle. And then they share, the two triangles share this side, so that side's congruent to itself. And the two angles that we're trying to compare are the included angles. Well, if they're the included angles, then we should be able to compare them. We look at this top angle, it's across from a side that's 22. This angle's across from a side that's 28. Well, the 22 is smaller than the 28, so this angle should be smaller than this angle, so it would be the less than symbol. This angle has to be less than angle AC, the measure of angle ACD. Uh, 25. 25, they give us a triangle. My triangles might not look exactly like theirs. This is 27 degrees, this is 115 degrees, and this is X. And on each of these, there's telling us to find X. What we do on 25 is we just add those two together. 115 plus 27, we get 142. And we know the three angles of a triangle must add up to 180. Borrow here. That leaves us with 38, so X in this case equals 38. 26, we have a picture, it looks like this, ignore that stray mark. They tell us those two sides are congruent, that means this has to be an isosceles triangle. Tells that angle is 36 degrees. If this triangle is isosceles, then that means those two angles, the two base angles, have to be congruent. The way we can find this angle over here, which they say is X, let's take 180 minus 36, that gives us 144, and we know that these two angles have to be congruent, so we just take 144 and divide by 2, and that gives us 72 degrees. So each of those angles has to be 72 degrees, and all we really care about is that X right there is 72. 27. 27, they give us a triangle, it looks like this. They tell us all three sides are congruent, this is X. Well, if all three sides are congruent, it's an equilateral triangle. If it's an equilateral triangle, then we know it's also equiangular, and if it's equiangular, then each of those angles has to be 60 degrees, so X has to be 60. 28, I have a picture, it looks like this. This angle's 64 degrees. This angle's 44 degrees. Ignore that. And we're looking for this exterior angle out here. We had a theorem that said this angle plus this angle, these two angles added together, have to add up to equal that exterior angle, so we could find it that way. We could also find this other interior angle and then subtract from 180 because they're a linear pair there. But the easiest way is just to take these two angles and add them together. So 64 plus 44, and that gives us 108. And that exterior angle right there, the X is 108. So that's our answer. That's all of this page 347. Again, this goes along with 340. Send them to me, email or text, however you need to do it.